You're driving a car right now that could be holding back nearly 40% of its true performance. And you probably don't even realize it. Last week, someone walked into a shop and paid over $1,000 to fix what turned out to be a problem that could have been prevented in under a minute. That's not a rare case. It happens every single day. Not because drivers are careless, but because modern cars are designed in a way that hides their true condition from you. After years of real-world use, your car doesn't just wear out. It adapts. It learns your habits. And sometimes, those habits slowly make it weaker. Let's start with something almost nobody talks about. Modern vehicles don't use a direct throttle cable anymore. Instead, they rely on electronic throttle control. That means when you press the gas pedal, you're not directly opening the throttle. You're sending a signal to a computer, and that computer decides how much power you actually get. Now here's where it gets interesting. Over time, your car learns how you drive. If you're gentle with the pedal, slow acceleration, light inputs, the system adapts. It softens throttle response. It limits how aggressively the engine reacts. And the worst part? It never resets itself. Even after oil changes, new filters, or fresh spark plugs, your car still behaves like you're driving cautiously. That sluggish feeling? It might not be wear at all. It might just be learned behavior. But there's a simple reset process. Turn the ignition on without starting the engine. Press the gas pedal all the way down. Hold it for about 10 seconds. Then turn the ignition off, release the pedal, and wait a few more seconds. When you restart the car, the system begins fresh. Drivers who try this often notice the difference immediately. Throttle response feels sharper. The car reacts faster. It's like removing a layer of hesitation you didn't even know was there. But even perfect throttle response won't help if your engine can't breathe properly. Over time, carbon buildup forms inside your intake system. It's a slow process. Fuel residues, oil vapors, all combining into a sticky layer that restricts airflow. You don't see it happening. You don't feel it right away. But gradually, your engine starts suffocating. The symptoms are subtle at first. A slightly rough idle. A small drop in fuel economy. A feeling that the car just isn't as smooth as it used to be. Most drivers ignore it. But cleaning the intake system can completely change how your engine feels. Using a proper intake cleaner, introduced carefully while the engine is running, helps dissolve that buildup. The engine may stumble. You might see smoke. That's normal. It's years of deposits burning away. Once it's done, the difference can be dramatic. Smoother idle, better acceleration, improved fuel efficiency. It's not adding power. It's restoring what was already there. Now let's talk about something even more expensive. Your transmission. You've probably heard the phrase, lifetime fluid. Sounds reassuring, right? But in reality, transmission fluid doesn't last forever. It breaks down over time. Heat, friction, and contamination slowly reduce its effectiveness. As it degrades, shifting becomes less precise. You might notice delays, rough transitions, or even slipping. By the time most drivers realize there's a problem, the damage is already done. But there's a smarter way to maintain it. Instead of waiting for a full fluid change at high mileage, partial drain and refill cycles can keep the system clean over time. Each time you replace a portion of the fluid, you gradually refresh the entire system, without shocking it. It's a small habit that can dramatically extend transmission life. Now let's move to something smaller, but surprisingly important. Spark plugs. Most people assume new spark plugs are perfectly set from the factory. But in reality, their gap isn't always ideal for real-world conditions. Even a tiny difference can affect combustion. A slightly tighter gap can create a stronger spark under load. That means more reliable ignition, smoother idle, and better efficiency. It's a small adjustment, but it highlights something important. Performance isn't always about big upgrades. Sometimes it's about fine details. And speaking of precision, your car relies heavily on sensors. One of the most important is the mass airflow sensor. This tiny component measures how much air enters your engine. Based on that, the system calculates how much fuel to inject. But over time, dust and debris can coat the sensor. When that happens, it starts giving inaccurate readings. Your engine compensates by adding more fuel than necessary. That means wasted fuel, reduced efficiency, and sluggish performance. Most people replace the sensor, but in many cases, it just needs cleaning. A proper sensor cleaner can restore it in minutes. And when it's working correctly again, the difference is immediate. Smoother idle, better response, improved fuel economy. Now let's talk about fuel itself. Modern cars often have internal fuel filters that are considered non-serviceable. But that doesn't mean they don't clog. Over time, contaminants build up. Rust, debris, even poor quality fuel. As the filter restricts flow, the engine struggles to get consistent fuel delivery. You might feel hesitation, weak acceleration, rough operation under load. One solution is adding an external inline filter. It's simple, affordable, and gives you something most modern systems don't: visibility. You can actually see the condition of your fuel. And when the filter gets dirty, replacing it takes minutes. Now here's where things get a bit more advanced. Inside your engine, carbon buildup doesn't just affect airflow. It also affects combustion. Some experienced mechanics use controlled water mist to help clean internal components. When introduced carefully into a hot engine, the water turns into steam and helps break down carbon deposits. Done correctly, it can restore smoothness and efficiency. But it requires precision. Too much water, too fast, and you risk serious damage. So it's not something to experiment with casually. Still, it shows how much hidden buildup can affect performance. Now let's talk ignition again. Coil packs generate the voltage needed to ignite fuel. In some cases, compatible coils from similar engines can provide stronger, more stable output. This leads to smoother acceleration and more consistent power delivery. It's not a huge gain, but it adds refinement to how the engine feels. And after any major change, your car's computer needs time to adapt. The ECU constantly adjusts fuel trims, timing, and idle behavior. Giving it a proper relearn period, letting the engine idle undisturbed, helps it recalibrate more effectively. It's a simple step, but it makes a noticeable difference. Now consider timing. Engines are often tuned conservatively from the factory. This allows them to run safely under various conditions. But it also means they're not always operating at peak efficiency. With better fuel and stable conditions, the system can gradually optimize timing, improving performance and efficiency. Then there's the exhaust system. Over time, restrictions can develop, limiting how easily gases exit the engine. When exhaust flow is restricted, the entire system suffers. Maintaining clean pathways helps the engine breathe, both in and out. And don't overlook the PCV system. It regulates internal pressure and redirects vapors back into the intake. When it fails or becomes inefficient, it allows excess oil vapor into the system, contributing to buildup. Simple solutions can help keep it clean and functioning properly. Now here's something many drivers feel but don't understand. Throttle delay. That slight hesitation when you press the gas. It's often intentional, designed for comfort and emissions. But reducing that delay, even slightly, makes the car feel more responsive. Not more powerful, just more immediate. And that changes the driving experience completely. Fuel injectors also play a major role. They must deliver fuel as a fine mist. When deposits form, that mist becomes uneven. The result: poor combustion, reduced efficiency, and rough performance. Cleaning them properly restores that precision. And finally, lubrication. Oil reduces friction, protects components, and keeps everything moving smoothly. Over time, it degrades. Maintaining proper lubrication, and in some cases enhancing it, ensures long-term reliability. But here's the truth most people overlook. None of these improvements matter if the car is neglected. The real secret isn't a single trick. It's consistency. Small actions, repeated over time, have the biggest impact. Regular checks, preventative care, attention to detail. That's what keeps a vehicle running strong, year after year. Because in the end, your car doesn't fail all at once. It fades slowly, one small inefficiency at a time. And if you catch those early, You don't just save money, you unlock the performance your car had all along.